everybody, and welcome to Semi-Pro. I'm Dalton Barrett, better known as Barrett Digital.
Hello, I'm Josh Clements, corporate editor, and this episode is brought to you by the 2011 film Contagion, which predicted the future.
Did it? There have been so many movies about it. It's fine. Do want to remind people, self-isolate if you haven't already. Quarantine is don't have to full out quarantine, but social distancing is important if you're not already doing that. We do want to remind you, with what little influence we have, to do those things. We got a very interesting special episode of the podcast today. Our good friend Daniel Savage, also known as SavageComics, stopped by, and we just rambled without any point. So it'll be a really fun episode. Daniel, how's it going?
You know, it's going.
This is SavageComics on Instagram. Daniel Savage is his name.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
One of my oldest pals when it comes to, the Photoshop kind of community, I guess. We met before we were even doing Photoshop, and then later we brought Josh in.
Yeah, in fact,
I was like a stray puppy.
Right, you still are. But Dalton, you were actually one of the reasons that I even got started on Photoshop in the first place. Back in my Pixar days, hopped on there. I edited Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
And I
sent it to you, and I was really proud of it.
I'm so sorry to everyone involved. So kind of the way this works is Item, Spider-Monkey23, is responsible for me, and I'm responsible for these guys, so it really all goes back to him. It's kind of like how you
say
can...
that.
So if you ever dislike any of our arts, you're basically disliking all of Item's arts. So
we are just rip-offs of Item.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
The way I've always seen it is, you know Harry Potter?
No, I don't. Never heard of it.
No.
Basically, in Harry Potter, which I know both of you have seen.
I don't know him personally. I know of him.
Right.
Fun fact, we share the same
some
birthday.
mutual friends. Oh, that's cool. I don't remember asking, but okay. Thanks for just volunteering that information out.
We're basically Item's Horcruxes.
Wow. This is a train wreck already.
You know, this reminds me of the old Skype days.
This reminds me of the old podcast, the old Semi-Pro.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, the one that started it all. I believe you mean the semi-professional artists, to be exact.
Right, the semi-professional artist podcast.
We only had one good episode about Scooby-Doo, and we were never mentioning anything outside of that.
More than one.
Well,
two good episodes. We had Scooby-Doo and we had Item's interview.
Right, I was going to say we had one good episode about Scooby-Doo, but that was, only one good episode about Scooby-Doo.
Right.
So kind of you're trying to come back because you've been dead for like 6 months.
I mean, I've been I'd say I have an on again, off again relationship with death.
Right.
I've been popping up here and then.
And a little more so recently, I've noticed. So what's what's been going on in the world of SavageComics in real life? How's your personal life going, buddy?
Yeah, it's going.
Okay, all right, cool. That's all the information you have to disclose.
All right.
That's it. That's the only questions we had for you today.
That was it. That's the
interview. Well, thank you. It was great being here.
I don't know what we're doing. We don't want to interview you because you're not interesting, and
right. There's nothing really to interview. You
each
guys
other,
wouldn't know about me already.
Right. You're only the second artist we've had on this podcast, which I think is really interesting.
Right, and I'm the first bad artist you've had on, so that's something.
Well,
and something to be proud of.
You're also going to be the last artist we ever have on this podcast.
You'll be the last guest. This is the last episode of the podcast ever. Just by the way.
Thank God.
So we met. How many years ago has it been now?
At least 4.
At least 5, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm a senior in high school now, and I was in 8th grade when we met.
It was my freshman year of high school, and I've been out of school for 2 years. So, yeah, 6 years now.
Yeah, wow.
Back on, I can't believe I'm about to disclose this.
Oh,
back
God,
on,
don't do it.
on iFunny, if you remember, which, granted, 6 years ago, iFunny was the place to be. So
wasn't.
That's
It was
true.
never the
I
place
was.
to
No, it was. It was. I was popping. I had a lit iFunny page.
right, you had it was a psych.
No, we're not. We're not going to
Okay, all
disclose the
right, we
name.
won't,
But,
okay, all right, fine. So we were doing that, and
Daniel owned a fan page. That's all we're gonna say.
right,
Right.
Daniel was a fan page guy,
I was.
as
It
was
was really
I.
good. I had like 7 featers, I think. No, like
I
6.
thought you were about to go. It was a really dark time in my life.
It was. Oh yeah, that too.
I also had a fan page that was moderately popular, and so we met by doing that, and we kind of became buddies there. And then I got into making little edits and things for my page, which then got me into making suit design and that kind of stuff. And then Daniel followed suit, and then we found some other people doing the same thing, and then we brought Josh in. And
And that was the worst mistake we ever made.
right, that is true. And then after we brought Josh in, we started to grow, and then took to
Moved to
Instagram, and then that's when we met Aitzum and brought him into our little group of 4, the Sean Bean Dream Team. And we have all.
And we ruined Isom.
We did. We really did. He was a good little wholesome guy, and we ruined him.
Yeah, he had a great future ahead of him. We just completely destroyed that.
It did that to me too. And
Well, I don't know about all that.
I would say that me and you are the root of the problem here, Daniel. So
Oh, definitely.
Josh,
I'd say we're the root of most problems.
As bad as I was nowhere near as bad as I am now. I
Josh,
spoke
I'm still pretty
English.
sure you started the coronavirus with your year-old shrimp, but
Honestly, there's a good chance. Maybe I'm patient zero. Who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
We're just so isolated all the time. It took like a year to spread.
I said to Dom literally just before we hopped on. He was like, "Hey, how's isolation treating you?" And I just went, "I literally have not changed my lifestyle in one bit."
Josh, you did take a trip to China about 7 months ago, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, it's funny. Just before this whole thing blew up, I was coming home from China.
Right, that's what I'm saying. With your, you
It's
left.
incredible.
Did you leave the shrimp there, or?
You just brought
a
your year-old
little-
shrimp with
little
you to
fact.
China and left
A
it.
little known fact that you guys might not realize.
And then they actually used that in the
London.
bat soup. That's what
London,
started it all.
London is how you say China in Mandarin.
Oh no, that makes sense. No, I got it.
Little interesting fact of my own. England is actually my city.
I hate you.
Did you know that the UK isn't real?
No, I knew that one.
Yes, I
that
did-
one's
I did
not.
know that,
That's not
actually,
news
yeah.
to me.
Thank God. Oh my
Right.
God, I can only imagine if that was real.
Yeah. It must be a horrible place to live.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
God.
God, thank God I live in Russia.
Thank God you live in England and not the UK.
Actually, Daniel, I live in Britain. Thank you very much.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I thought you lived in Britain. That's where the name Brit Edit comes from, right?
Yeah,
Well, no, it's Bright Dit.
yeah. It actually comes from my name, Bright, and I did just kind of it seemed natural.
Because you're a dit.
There's no difference between London, like England, the UK, and Britain.
Nope. Well, I know the difference. I know London is the city, and England, Britain, and
Country.
the
Well,
UK
that's good
are all the
start.
country, but I don't know the difference between those three.
Right.
The UK is essentially a country of countries, which
Oh, right.
features-
That's like Scotland and like Ireland too, right?
it's
maybe not that
Scotland,
one, but it's a
England,
lot.
Wales, and North Ireland.
Wow.
Then Britain is the geographical thing of Ireland, North Ireland, London. I keep saying London, England, Wales, and Scotland.
Right.
So why
England.
does the UK just not like Ireland?
Yeah, there was some, I think, religious disagreements essentially from way back when.
Oh, my favorite.
England is my city.
I don't think it is.
Okay, so let's move on from this
England isn't
conversation.
even my city.
Let's move on from this conversation. Something more
Please.
productive. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. So what would you say is your main focus when it comes to making things, because
Everyone has to focus.
I try to put a lot of focus into suit design. Josh is working on his blending. Item, of course, is just, good at everything.
Right.
So, so what would you say? What would you say is your main focus? What's your strong suit?
I mean, I don't even know right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get back in the hang of actually, like, editing at least once a day.
Right, and we've got this upcoming collab.
You say that, but I don't know that you can prove that that's actually happening.
I can. I've got work parts. I can prove it. So
I
we got
don't
this.
think so.
Then we're not going to spoil for anybody. We're going to be teasing it over the course of like the next month because we're all in quarantine. We might as well work on the greatest collab of all time.
How is the quarantine going for you guys?
Honestly, I mean, I got to go to the bank today. But I'm not going to be getting out of my car. And I'm not going to touch the bank lady. So I'm going to send my money through a tube and then drive away. So I have to work, which is that's the part that's tough. Can't get out of work, can't work from home. I can do some work from home, but not much. So it's going as good as it can be with me still having to go to work. I'm not eating at restaurants and that kind of stuff. So that's how that's going. Trying to flatten that curve, as they say. What about you, Daniel?
I haven't been really treating it any differently, which is probably why I'm sick. But no, I was actually at Clearwater Beach, which is like 30 minutes away from me yesterday. So, and apparently it was like super packed there yesterday, despite all the warnings about social distancing. So I'm glad I could be a part of
the problem.
That.
Part of the problem.
Right, exactly.
Right. There. So just so anybody is listening, just do your part there, I guess. As you can.
Be safe for the sake of others.
Right. It's not really you that we're concerned about. I could care less, Daniel, if you get it.
Right. I mean, I hope I do. But no, I understand the concerns. It's more you don't want it to spread to those you love that could be more easily susceptible, because obviously someone at our age, it's not going to affect us as much. It'll have like the symptoms of like the flu or maybe even just the cold.
Well, we can carry it without even showing symptoms at all, period,
right.
Ever, and still give it to countless other people.
And then it could affect those people and actually kill them.
That's why
what's so scary about it.
That's why we did this podcast today. We weren't going to do one this week, but we know people are stuck at home and self-quarantined and that kind of stuff. Give you something to listen to. I don't know why you would choose to listen to this, but that's okay.
Right. I was going to say like a very bad choice, but
But a choice indeed. So that's that. Anything else? What else do we have to talk about? Is there do we have anything else to talk about? Josh, what about you? You said your quarantine hasn't changed much. How's it going for you?
Yeah. Apparently I've basically finished university, which it's fun. Originally I'd have spring break for the next month, and then I'd come back, and there'd be about 3 weeks. I'd hand in my assessments, and then that's it. I have time off until July, where I graduate, and then I'm off into the world to become homeless. And
right.
Josh, you are a lucrative podcast host. You will never be homeless.
Right. We're getting sponsors all over the place. This week is sponsored by Daniel Savage Productions, which is
that's Daniel. Not true. I would never sponsor this podcast.
No. It's your father's production. We like to not disclose the field in which he works, but let's assure you, he's in entertainment.
Right. It was a very lucrative field.
But yeah, because of the virus and everything, they've basically just said we're doing online classes. You don't need to come to university for the rest of the year.
Nice.
The hope is that like.
Daniel, you okay?
Everything clears up sort of July time, so I can have a graduation. But if not, then I'm finished. I'm heading home
Yeah,
for spring break.
I don't know what's going on with my school right now. Because we're on spring break right now. So we got a call about extending spring break, and it said that it's going to be extended by a week to clean the school or just to give us some time to quarantine ourselves and whatnot. But then we got another call saying that that week would be online classes, and then after that we got an email saying it wouldn't be online classes. We were just getting another week of break. So I'm not sure what's going on right now. Hopefully I don't end up having to do the full year online, because I feel like I'm not going to have the motivation to do that on my own, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I know from having online classes in the past, I don't have like the self-motivation to get my stuff done.
I barely have the self-motivation to get to stuff done in actual classes.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what I found out with college. And there are a lot of college students who are going to online classes who do not have the self-motivation to do their work. I saw somebody
Anything.
I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was an Instagram story, and I can't remember whose it was. But somebody's if their college graduation gets canceled, they're holding a Minecraft graduation on a Minecraft server.
Oh my god.
I saw that.
So we'll do that for you guys, because you guys are both graduating this year. So we'll hold a graduation for
sweet.
you. It'll be the semi-pro Minecraft server graduation. We'll invite anybody else who wants to come.
I'll be sure to get my
That's
parents
awesome.
into Minecraft in the next
Right.
Right. That's what you got to do before July. Get your parents, get them started playing Minecraft.
All right, easy.
Yeah. Just tell your dad it's digital Legos.
It's kind of mad. Like with the cancellations and everything. There's been so many films that have been cancelled.
Disney is losing
Like
something like.
Fast and Furious got delayed by a year, and I know some
Oh
people.
no.
I know some people who are quite upset about that. Like,
Oh yeah,
they're-
no. The Fast and Furious movies have genuine fans.
Surprisingly.
Right. I don't associate with those people, but there are genuine fans. Black Widow got delayed, correct? Mulan for sure. I can't remember about Black Widow, but Mulan for sure got delayed. Disney is losing close to $900,000 a day due to halted production.
thing is, that sounds like a lot, and then you consider that
Yeah,
Disney-
like that seems like a lot,
that's
but for
pocket
Disney
change.
that's like a cent a day probably.
I would go closer to like $1 a day. You know, maybe $5 a day, which over the course of 6
Like,
months could probably
they're
add up to a
guaranteed
pretty
to
hefty
make-
sum.
they're guaranteed to make at least $1 billion on pretty much a lot of these movies. So it's kind of like
That's
you know,
true. Disney, or apparently Apple is looking to acquire Disney, which I think is interesting.
I don't know if that. I feel like that's probably not going to go through.
I doubt it, but it could. So who knows?
Well, I feel like that's not going to go through for a couple of reasons. Most of all, the whole monopoly thing, because people were often like, "Oh, Disney's becoming a monopoly," but that's the reason they had court hearings throughout the entire time they were trying to acquire Fox, because they were like, "Are they becoming a monopoly?" And it's like if Apple acquired them, then I think it's like, yeah, they are. Apple's become the monopoly.
Well, I don't know that with Apple, because they're not an entertainment company. Does that make sense? So it's not like, because Disney has an entertainment monopoly, but if Apple acquires Disney, it's not like Apple has an entertainment monopoly, because they're, you know, that would make them operate more along the lines of like Sony, you know, because Sony's got Sony Pictures, but they also make the Walkman. So this would be like Apple. They make an iPhone, but they also make a movie. But
make
anyway,
Apparently bad TV shows. I haven't seen it, but I've heard rough things about C.
yeah, I did watch the morning show, which was excellent. If anybody's looking
I've
for
heard good things about the morning show. Yeah.
if anybody's looking for a show to binge over this quarantine period, the morning show is a good one. I've also been watching I've been watching Heartland on Netflix, which is it's a Canadian produced television show.
I think my sister watched that in like 6th grade.
Honestly,
so.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. My sister watched it in like 6th grade. and it's been running for 14 years. There are 14 seasons.
Wow.
So there's a lot to watch over this quarantine, and it's not like a brilliant, excellent, great show or whatever. It's just it's very comforting, and it's almost like if you remember, it's like kind of like Dallas, because it's on like a horse ranch. But every character in that show is written so, like, every character has a purpose and reason for being there. That's what I find so fascinating about it, and what keeps me roped in, is that, like, even the characters who are just like side characters are given a personality and a reason for being on the show. So that's the one I'm in currently, is Heartland. I'm also doing a best of the worst binge through.
Sure, actually, I started playing it.
Nice.
Chronologically, of course. If you've never seen,
have either of you seen the most recent one?
No, I have not. So don't spoil it.
Read a quote.
You know, we haven't done a best or a Red Letter Media episode of this podcast yet, and we really should.
Yeah, we really all should. But can I please just read a quote from this episode?
You may.
I've got to try and figure out which one.
You get one. You only get one quote.
You may read a quote once.
So while he's finding his quote and picking it, Red Letter Media is their YouTube channel. They were one of the, I mean, technically they're a production studio. They were one of the earlier YouTube channels that I remember watching personally. And they're basically, it's a film review channel, but they're great guys, and they have a fantastic personality.
They're a bunch of hack frauds.
Yes, exactly.
All
And Rich Evans, if you ever hear this, I don't care if it's 45 years from now, we want you on this podcast.
He's not living that long.
That's right. Jay Ballman,
Right.
if you ever hear this, I don't care if it's 45 years from now, give me a call. We want you on this podcast.
Okay, I think I found it. This is from Mike. It's like a roller coaster into your own grave.
Wow.
Wow.
Let me tell you.
Sounds like my life.
Honestly, yeah.
This episode, which they have said has changed them as men.
Wow, did anything make the no, don't spoil it. I gotta watch it later. So yeah, Best of the Worst is a series they do, which I'm a big fan of, which is something you can binge through if you've never seen it over the course of this quarantine period. It's something like 50 or so hour-long episodes. So you know, it'll fill your time pretty good. They take 3 horrible, terrible B movies, and they watch all of them. They watch all 3, and then decide which one is the quote-unquote best of the worst. And so that's the series, and they do that every episode. It
starts off like that, and then as the series goes on, you can see the light drain from their eyes. You can see the will to live slowly leave their bodies until they're stuck in an eternal hell.
Right.
Right.
Much like our own podcast.
Right. That's what's happening with this episode right here, actually. You can see that happening.
Well, I mean, maybe for you guys, I started out with no light in my eyes.
That's a good
So
point.
this episode is like a roller coaster into our own graves.
Right. What a horrible nightmare, this existence I live.
What's wrong with your face? Yeah, when us three have a group chat, and whenever we talk in that group chat, it always devolves into both nonsensical language and RLM quotes.
It's true. It does.
If by dissolves you mean like it's exclusively that, like
It
that,
starts as that and ends as that.
Right.
right?
It's constant.
Continues like that for 24 hours straight.
It's a miserable
with
nightmare.
no escape.
This existence that I live.
Anyway, do you remember that time? I think it was a Skype call that Dalton left his computer on, and me and you whole time, and we had a 24
we stayed on there the whole. Yeah, wow.
We did. I remember that.
Fun.
Yeah, and then I remember it kicked us out like right before it was like 25 hours, I think. No, like it made it past 24 hours, and then it kicked us out like right as it was about to hit 25 hours. It just like ended the call.
That's
like
sad.
24 was made by the guys who did Unfriended.
Right, like if 24 was made by people who weren't good at making movies.
Sure.
I've never seen 24. I always
I
hear
haven't
it,
either.
I feel like it's so culturally talked about, and I've never seen an episode.
I've never seen Unfriended. I feel like it's such a cultural, like just
Sure,
a
Unfriended's
cultural
great.
staple.
Unfriended's a slap.
I've seen Unfriended, but I've never seen 24.
I've never seen
Didn't-
24 Unfriended. 20 Friended?
I've never had 24 friends.
I've never had any.
I've been
friends.
unfriended 24 times.
This is what happens in the group chat, by the way, in case you guys wanted to know.
Imagine this, but trying.
Imagine this, but like this is us trying to be
Right. Well,
this is us putting it down.
semi-professional.
For the sake of giving people honesty, there's not enough of us quoting.
professional.
There's not enough of us quoting Buffalo Bill for it to be like the group chat.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Buffalo Bill.
You sure don't?
I'm sure. I almost did it, but I stopped myself. Okay. Let's
Oh
go.
yeah, I'm sure this has been talked about, but did you, especially you, Dylan, did you hear that one of your favorite celebrities, Idris Elba, actually got confirmed to have the coronavirus?
I'm sure this has already been talked about, but did you hear about Pluto?
It's messed up, huh?
Yeah.
Daniel, you'll be proud of me. I've been binging.
No, it won't. I am proud of you, actually. How far are you?
Duality of man.
Right.
This is. I don't even know what to call this episode. Like, I don't know what to title this episode of the podcast while I'm editing it.
Call it the bottle episode of Semi Pro.
Honestly, it is just a bottle episode.
I think you should call it a roller coaster leading to your grave. I think we already named this episode.
It took us 13 episodes, but we got there.
Right.
We finally gave up.
Honestly, yeah. Daniel, how does that make you feel? That
I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Let's just blame this on the quarantine and isolation, right? No one needs to know.
No, that makes sense.
We aren't
That
ready
we've lost
to
our
be
minds.
integrated to society.
Right. We're social distancing.
I would hope they would already know that. But.
This has been a fun episode. Thanks for coming on, Daniel.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
We'll have you on again soon. We're not gonna have him on again anytime soon. But we really appreciate you coming on.
Having anyone on ever again.
I don't think that this podcast is going to exist after this episode.
Honestly, you're probably right. This was a fun.
I will say that we do have a couple of guests lined up who I'm looking forward to. Well, we did, and then they saw this episode, and I'm
they're like, oh, never mind.
I feel adult to get a message that says something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to be on your podcast," even though we never given them a date.
Right.
Oh, sorry, it's quarantine. I can't get to my computer. It's like.
Yeah, my computer's at work. I'm working from home.
my computer actually has the coronavirus. I accidentally downloaded it, so
it's a malware.
Yeah.
It's just like I would want to be on your podcast, but I was told to not contact anyone in case they might have the virus.
I can tell that you guys have the virus.
Dude, my free trial to Norton ran out. I can't get rid of the coronavirus.
Oh, wow. We do have more serious episodes of the podcast, more interesting episodes of the podcast that are up. You can just scroll down and wherever you're listening, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere else, Wooshka. Wherever you're listening, just find more episodes. We've interviewed.
Is that a word?
Wooshka? Yes.
Babushka?
That's
I didn't know you listened to ASAP Rocky.
But yeah, we
Oh,
do.
man, we're uploading to the Baba Yaka.
What's the Bogullet from Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Oh, Bogullet!
Deception.
We gotta stop. We gotta end this. All right, it's been great, Daniel. Thanks for coming on. Do you want to?
Thanks for having me. I'll be sure to listen to your podcast and hopefully be on again.
Do you want to plug your stuff real quick?
Not really, no.
Okay. All right.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah.
He's at SavageComics on Instagram, and I don't know him well enough to know if he has a Twitter, a Facebook, Snapchat, a real life.
Nope, none of
He's
those.
at savaged10@gmail.com if you want to send him an email.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know how I have that memorized, but I do
Yeah,
somehow.
that's a little concern. I don't even know my own email that well. I had to check to see if that was actually my email, but yeah, no, it
Sean
is.
Spencer on iFunny.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
All right. It's been great. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Thanks, man. I'll see you when we meet again, right here. I love you guys.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun episode, Josh. Don't you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed rambling for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was fun to not have a themed episode of the podcast, just to kind of talk for a little bit.
No, just be ourselves.
Right, especially in this time of kind of, I want to say world panic, but that seems like an exaggeration. But then you look at what's going on, and people are actually panicking, so it's not really an exaggeration. Just reminder to everybody: social distance, wash your hands. You'll be fine. Don't freak out, and leave some toilet paper at the grocery store for me. Any last words?
That's the biggest issue. I genuinely need toilet paper, and there's nowhere near me that's selling it.
Yeah, it's sold out everywhere.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Semi Pro. Follow us on Twitter at Josh and Dalton. Send us your podcast to your friends, and have a great week. We'll see you next time.